And we're live. Good. Welcome to Justin's House of Games. We'll be back with more Phoenix Wright to Ace Attorney. And we're gonna be starting up day 3 of the trial for Rise of the Ashes. So let's get into it. February 24th, 9:41 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 2. So what do you think, Mr. Wright? I think the prosecution is as confused as we are. After all, the victim was murdered in 2 different places at the same time. Yep. A different suspect was arrested at each of the crime scenes. No. Good morning, Mr. Wright. I apologize for yesterday. I was indisposed. I hope they didn't hold you too long for questioning. We just finished, actually. I'm used to all-nighters, though. So how'd it go? It's as Mr. Wright suspects. The police are clueless. I figured as much, so I struck a plea bargain. A plea bargain? What do you mean by that? We agreed that if I told them the truth behind the simultaneous murder, they wouldn't seek capital punishment. That's what I mean, Emma. Alana, don't tell me you... Much to my regret, I'm as much in the dark about this as they are. This guy... He found trace evidence of a certain person in the police department's evidence room. They belong to Officer Jake Marshall. What kind of trace evidence? Bloodstained fingerprints, to be exact. That's the trump card I have up my sleeve today. You do understand what this means, don't you? In order to defend my sister, you're going to accuse Mr. Marshall? We have to play the cards you were dealt. Isn't that right, Miss Sky? Do what you have to do, Mr. Wright. February 24th, 10 o'clock in the morning. Courtroom 9. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is... I'm afraid to have to clarify. It takes 30 minutes by car to reach the police department from the prosecutor's office. Wow, that's a long ways. Yet the victim, Bruce Goodman, was slain at both places at the same time. Yep. That's not physically possible, is it? Nope. What's more, I hear the victim from the evidence room just disappeared. Yes, and the body eventually reappeared on the trunk of Mr. Edgeworth's car. Definitely a mystery. Wow, this is one messed up trial. Yep. One of my duties as prosecutor is to present impartial evidence. Today I will present evidence relating to the murder at the police department. And so, I believe the way in which we should proceed will reveal itself. Now that's what sets Mr. Edgeworth apart. He sounds so on top of things. Even though he doesn't know what's going on himself. And that's supposed to be an admirable trait. Very well, let the trial resume. On the day of the crime, what exactly transpired at the police department? Mr. Edgeworth, you may call your first witness of the day to the stand. For its first witness, the prosecution calls the suspect of the murder that occurred at the police department. The suspect? You mean the so-called murderer? Oh boy. Things are getting wild from the get-go. Will the witness please state his name and occupation? Yes, sir, I'm Officer Mike Meekins, sir. My occupation is, that would be murder. What? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. So you're a professional killer? AKA Hitman? Meekins, what are you doing? What are you doing, Meekins? What are you doing? I'll never kill anyone again, so you've got to believe me, sir. Actually, what we'd like to hear from you is, sir, what you call apparently... Oh my god, Meekins, no. Generation, sir. A person whose actions adults can't possibly comprehend. Please, Miss Edwards, sir, help me, sir. After Meekins. Yes, sir. Give us your report of the crime. Consider that an order. Yes, sir, as you wish. After all, I am part of a generation that must be told what to do, sir. Meekins, no. You can't fault him for a lack of enthusiasm. Yeah, you can. He's saying things without really thinking things through. Although it's not my normal duty, I was assigned to guard the evidence room that day. I spotted a suspicious man on the security screen and rushed into the room. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. I fought for my life and I did it. After that, I passed out until another officer smacked me awake. So the victim, Detective Goodman, attacked you. Do unto others before they do unto you. That's not a good philosophy. That's the Meekins family motto, sir. I see. Then you fainted and a colleague helped you regain consciousness? Yes, sir. He knocked me upside the head, sir. Very well. The defense may begin its cross-examination. What I need here is more info to work with. Yep, see. Crane report, sir. Hello, sir. Mr. Meekins, you work in the General Affairs Department, do you not? Work in the... Yes, sir. I am in charge of hiring new recruits, sir. Thanks, now there's a scary thought. Yeah. Evidence transfer was taking place on the day of the crime, which meant many officers were given special tasks not ordinarily performed. I was in charge of guarding the Blue Badger, sir. The Blue Badger? Yes, sir. The lovely police mascot created by the Chief of Detectives, sir. The Blue Badger. I wasn't sure it wasn't broken during the transferal process. But why is it? Why was it being transferred? It's not evidence. It's just Oh, animatronic. That was my sole mission for the day, sir. I see, sounds like a very important mission. Yeah, to get him out of the way, because after the award ceremony finished that day, there were so many people running around. I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room. Oh, so that's why you went to the evidence room? Tell us, what did you see when you got there? Spawned a suspicious man on the security screen. In order to enter the evidence room, you need an ID card, am I correct? Precisely, sir. I have one right here I have one right here around my neck. So then, your ID number should be listed on here, right? There it is, I found it. This is the one right here. Could you please read us the number? Yes, sir. 4989596. That's my number, sir. I see, huh? But the number 4989596 is shown as being used twice. Yes. Please explain, witness. It's no real mystery, sir. The first is when I relocated the Blue Badger to the evidence room. And the second time is when I went to go get him after everything settled down. I see, so I was doing the second time when... Yes, sir, that was when I spotted the man on the security screen. I was only doing what I was trained to do, sir. I was suddenly attacked. So you were attacked. Can you please tell us exactly what happened to you? There was a knife, sir. A knife. Detective Goodman pulled a knife on you? What happened then? Well, with me charging in on that and him like that, he looked as surprised as I was. You weren't exactly the kind of person someone would want to run into. That's when I reacted, sir. I swung my arms like an octopus, struggling to detain him. That's how I got this gash on my hand. Maybe if you just kept it cool, your hand wouldn't be. I saw the blood trickling down my arm. I panicked. I grabbed the man by his collar. I fought for my life, and I did it. What exactly do you mean when you say did it? I know I don't look the type, but I'm really into Kung Fu films, sir. The man let his guard down for just an instant, so I snatched his knife from him. You took his knife? I spun him around and performed a disarming maneuver. I made sure to close my eyes like a man. I see, he must have been desperate. The next thing I knew, his white coat was drenched in the sea of my blood, and then the next thing I knew... Yes? He punched me right in the face. My face, sir. After that, I passed down to another after smacking me right. About what time did you regain consciousness? No offense, sir, but how am I supposed to know that? I was unconscious. Oh, right. According to the report from the officer that woke up the witness, it was about 5:30, so about... Sorry about that. Microphone went out a little for a little bit. Okay. Hit me right in the head too. I woke up crying tears of pain. That's nice. I mean, it's nice that you recovered, that is. When I came around, though, I made sure to finish my mission, sir. Your mission? Yes, sir, the Blue Badger, sir. I returned him to the entrance before things got out of hand. Well, we can all rest easy now. I believe we now have a fairly accurate picture of what happened. Yes, Your Honor, only one thing remains unclear. Was the man this officer murdered really the victim? He's got a point. Yes, Officer Meekins? With regard to that, sir, take a look at this. It was sent to my jail cell. Chief Gant delivered to me just this morning, sir. The chief delivered it? What is that? A videotape? Yes, sir, that's absolutely right, sir. A videotape, sir. Contains footage from the security camera in the evidence room.
Objection!
What? But I specifically asked if there was such a tape. And I was told it had been mistakenly erased. That's quite a mistake. I just do what I'm told, sir. It's the only thing I'm really good at. Looks like communication with the police department is as good as ever. Well then, let's have a look. Show us the video of you murdering the victim. Oh, please stop using that word murder, sir. It scares me. A video of a real murder, just what are we getting ourselves into? Something fell out of the locker. Huh. Well, I believe we're all thinking the same thing. How can we deal with these unsettling feelings stirred within us? What the hell was that wriggling piece of plywood? That was a Blue Badger. Sir, that is the pride and joy of the Internal Criminal Affairs Department, sir. It's the Blue Badger, sir. Well, how am I not surprised this isn't going smoothly? Yes, well, anyways, this tape seems to prove that the witness did indeed encounter someone that never left the room either. Your Honor, instead of relying on clearly incomplete footage, the witness's testimony will suffice. Are you sure about that? Is that alright with you, Officer Meekins? Yes, sir, as you wish, sir. Testimony. His face can't be clearly seen in the video, but there's no question that was the other person was Detective Goodman, sir. I mean, he opened the locker, which required Detective Goodman's fingerprint to do so. The locker he opened is unquestionably Detective Goodman's locker, sir. So it must be here. No one else could have unlocked it. What's this about fingerprint? Each detective has been given a locker equipped with a fingerprint-activated lock. These locks ensure that each locker can only be opened by the detective it belongs to. Intriguing. That would mean the victim at the crime scene would have been Detective Goodman or someone wearing like tape with his fingerprints or something. The defense may begin its cross-examination. I don't know where this cross-examination will lead. Everything begins with contradictions. That's where I have to start. Okay. That's two. Can't be clearly seen. But there's no question that the other person was Detective Goodman, sir. I mean, he opened the locker which required... However, the most important detail is not shown in this video, the man's face. Sir, if I may say something, sir. Please do, after all, you're the one being examined. I don't understand why the man's face is so important in this case, sir. Because it could have been someone else posing as Miss Detective Goodman. I mean, it was his hand that opened the fingerprint lock. And it was his hand that tried to thrust his knife into my body, sir. But was it actually Detective Goodman and not someone posing as him? I instilled stake and try enough to do this to this, sir. Yes, you have a point. No, he doesn't. First doesn't lie. That is, unless the defense can find a problem with it. Mr. Wait, let's check the court record again. Yes, there is a problem. We got the video contained on this tape. There is one thing in particular that seems rather strange. Strange? This contradiction leads to the possibility that the man may not have been Detective Goodman. What? This video contains such a contradiction? Interesting, Your Honor. I have a proposal. Yes, Mr. Edgeworth? I propose we have the defense point out to us this alleged contradiction in the video. You would want me to point it out. Very well, proposal accepted. Let's further inspect this piece of evidence. I will now play the security tape. Mr. Wright, please show us this contradiction you speak of. I have to point out a problem in the video. This is the first time I've ever had to do that. You can do it, Mr. Wright. It's set up so you can fast forward, rewind, or pause the video. Just take a good look and be sure to point out the right thing. How did this guy ever become a police officer? Good question, Phoenix. Good question. And then, Mr. Wright, please enlighten us. Where is the contradiction in case the man might not have been? Let's see. Yep, right there. Square. The thing that's the strangest about this video has got to be this. Yes, that is strange. Something certainly seems unnatural about that. What could it mean? Sorry to interrupt, Mr. Wright. No, you're not. But you seem to have forgotten the point of this exercise. The point? What are you looking for is one thing and one thing only. Something that indicates the man might not be Detective Goodman. Well, yeah. That's not a trap. Duh. Let's try this. Okay, let's try this again. Huh. Yeah, and I presented yeah, and that's what I did earlier.
Objection!
Yeah, I'm doing it right, but it's just not. Why is it telling me I didn't do it right? Huh. Gonna have to look this up, and I'm doing it what the walkthrough was saying, but it's not counting. Don't know what I'm doing wrong. Just bear with me. Okay, just looking it up. Okay. Trying to figure out what to do. Oh, okay. Okay, I was clicking on the wrong thing. Let's try this again. Yeah, talking. The thing that's strange about this video has got to be this. After meetings, sir, you meet me, sir. As I understand it, the locker apparatus works like this. When you grab the handle, a sensor reads your fingerprint. If it's a match, the light turns on and the lock is released. According to my very limited experience, that's the way I understand it, sir. If so, then something is seriously wrong with this picture. It was lit up before he even got there. When the victim reaches for the handle to open the locker, let's rewind to a little earlier. Here, notice the light. What's this? It's already lit. Precisely my point, Your Honor. The locker was already open before the victim grabbed the handle. Order, what's the meaning of this? It's very simple, Your Honor. The locker wasn't locked on the day of the crime. But the locker locks are controlled by an electronic system. True. When the door is shut, the sensor is triggered, and the locker is automatically locked. Oh, I know, I must have broken down. Of course, I'm not an expert in this. That's not likely, Your Honor. The sensor would detect and report any malfunction. Oh well, it just goes to show novices should keep their mouth shut. So then, Mr. Waite, do you have an explanation? I do, Your Honor. Me, Your Honor? Yes, why wasn't the locker locked? Because it sensed it was still open. Me, Your Honor? Yes, well, you see, this isn't exactly my field. What do you think, Miss Scientific Investigator? Oh, maybe something like jam the system sensor. Something jammed the sensor. There's something else that seems out of place in this video. Yeah, I thought so too. There's gotta be another clue somewhere in this footage. Very well, let's inspect the video once more. The locker wasn't locked. Mr. White, please point out the cause for this. Please watch closely. This is the continuation of the part I showed you earlier. Good. The person goes in, goes to the locker, and the glove falls out. What's this? Something weight fell out of the locker. But sir, it's been my experience that things fall out when doors are opened. I often fall out and roll great distances when it... We can't be sure if that item was completely inside the locker to begin with. What do you mean? The sensor triggers the lock when the door is shut. What if something was inserted, say, between the sensor and the door? Inserted? This white thing wasn't inside the locker. It was stuck between the door and the sensor. Oh, I understand now, sir. It's just like my tie. 2 out of 3 times it gets stuck in the door when I get out of my patrol vehicle, sir. Instead of the door closing, my tie chokes me, but the object would have to be extremely thin to fit in the door. Not only that, it would also have to block electrical currents. There would need to be an insulator. Yes, an insulator, but at the crime scene, there just might have been something that fits the description. But sir, by insulator you don't mean... Yep, rubber. Very well, will the defense please present the relevant evidence? What was this insulator that was stuck to the locker window? I found this near the locker, a thin rubber glove. But we can't be sure that was in the victim's locker. It was in the vicinity of it. It has a tag that says SL9 incident. The video seems to depict the victim opening the locker. But that isn't the case. The lamp attests to this. On the day of the crime, even I could have opened that locker. Is that not so, Officer Meekins? Sir, it would appear so, sir. Order, order, order. So are we to believe then that the victim, whom this witness stabbed in the evidence room, was not Detective Goodman? Do not be misled, Your Honor. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? The defense has merely demonstrated the possibility and nothing more. The victim in the video was indeed Bruce Goodman. You don't know that. The prosecution will offer one more testimony to prove this. What? Officer Meekins, please testify about this. Sir, me, sir? I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir. Oh, you mean that, sir? Of course, sir. Is this a joke? Very well, begin your testimony. There's one thing that proves the man was Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. The time of the crime, the detective had used his card. An ID card record, I see. I have the ID card record right here, Your Honor. The ID used at 514 is that of the victim. Who used it before at 420? Just before the crime, huh? Yes, without doubt, this is the victim's ID. However, one thing does strike me as unusual. Several hundred cases should have been due for transferal. Why were there so few people using this room? Good question. This particular evidence room is only used for storing certain special cases. Special cases? What kind of special cases? Extremely violent cases involving police staff. Ooh. Just hearing that makes my hair stand on end. Me too, although it doesn't make much of a difference. There were only a few cases up for transferal there, and most were cleared up by noon. Right, I see. Now let's move on to the cross-examination. There's one thing that proves the man with good men. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. But, let's see. See. Let's see. Present. Wait one moment, Mr. Officer Meekins. I'm not gonna wait, sir. I have the victim's ID card right here. I found it at the crime scene. That makes sense. When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room at the police department. I mean the other crime scene. The underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card. A lost item report. It's only half completed. Maybe he didn't have... But it shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to fill out this report. Let me guess, you believe there's something to be his ID card, right? I can't say for sure, but there's a high probability. On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card. So now, what does this all mean? It means someone got a hold of it. Someone who knew Goodman and wanted to frame him or something. I'll get him out of the way. The man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman, but rather the man who stole his ID card. Order, does the prosecution have a response? I'll take that as a no. I have only one thing to say to the defense. And what's that, Edgeworth? Bravo, Mr. Wright. Bravo. Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. At 5:15 p.m. on the day of the crime, the man in the evidence room Officer Meekins encountered was not Detective Goodman. There are two grounds to support this. First, the lock on the evidence room was already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Am I correct so far, Mr. Wright? Yes. What's he up to? That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at a single conclusion. If the victim in this video is a fake, then the murder in the evidence room is also fake. In other words, the security camera does not show the instant of the murder. Well, I thought that was pretty evident. Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Only moments ago you seemed content to be pointing your finger around. This isn't going to end well. Well, it seems you finally realized exactly what you've gone to such lengths to prove. Explain yourself, Mr. Edgeworth. The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in this video is a fake, which means the murder did not take place. The police department at 5:15 on the day of the crime. So the real crime could only take place at one location, the underground parking lot. At the prosecutor's office, the murderer being Miss Lana Sky, the defendant. The evidence is compelling, not really a trustworthy witness. Observe the moment the defendant used the murder weapon. I knew that testimony was way too shabby. With all a trap from the beginning, the activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered. Who exactly was the victim after meetings encountered? And where did this person disappear to? However, this trial's purpose is to examine only the murder of Detective Goodman. Just so, Your Honor. Mr. White, you have to do something or else Lana... What to do? How am I supposed to get myself out of this? One moment, Your Honor. What now, Mr. White? Don't tell me you're objecting to what you've just proven. Of course not. But I almost walked right into the prosecution's trap. What are you talking about? This cross-examination has proven one thing and one thing only. The security video did not show the actual murder. It also showed someone stuffed there in that locker. However, it cannot be said that it is unrelated to the murder in the parking lot. Specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. The defense demands further examination into the truth of the matter. Mr. Edgeworth? Yes, Your Honor. If this court were to examine this further, other witnesses will be necessary. Is the prosecution prepared? I'm sorry, Your Honor. The prosecution considered the incident at the police department to be unrelated. We have not prepared any other witnesses for this incident. This just might be my chance. Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand. Mr. Wright, do you mean... Your Honor, the defense would like to request a specific witness. Oh, whom do you have in mind? Someone we have reason to believe knows the truth. The truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room. The prosecution requests to hear this person's name before deciding whether or not to comply. Very well then, Mr. Wright. This person whom you would have testify, what is his or her name? Officer J. Commercial. Why him? I can't let Edgeworth know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. I feel we should hear what he has to say. The prosecution agrees to the defense's request. Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works in the police department, and we shouldn't need longer than 20 minutes to prepare. Very well. The court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time? We will, Your Honor. Court is now in recess. February 24th, 11:32 a.m. There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. White? Huh? What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. It seems you've figured everything out. I haven't figured anything out. Lana, you're the one who knows everything. Emma, you always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Way is trying his hardest to protect you. I don't recall ever asking for his protection. How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me? Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Not at all, Gumshoe. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. No, Gumshoe. You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Sorry, detective. You better be, pal. Hey. I didn't see you there, Chief Prosecutor Sky. That's okay, so have you brought what I asked? Oh. You mean this, right? My apologies, Detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. White's name when making my request. My name? Never in a million years would I have thought it was you who asked me. Could I bother you to bring me the SL9 incident file? I'll need them by noon. Talk about crazy. The SL9 incident? Alana, that's... I thought Mr. White might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them. I can't believe you, the chief prosecutor, were a witness in that case. This guy was a witness? Files for the Joe Dark killings solved 2 years ago. Take it from me, you don't want anything to do with serial murders. Oh, what? Now that I bought you your stuff, you're just gonna ignore me? Emma, but why? Why is your name in here? What? My name's in there? I don't know. Unless... No, it couldn't be Lana. This SL9 incident is that... That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago, the rest of the world knew it as the Joe Dark killings. The Joe Dark. No, Lana. That's over with. No. Well, this just got real interesting. Yeah, you know what? I just remembered I gotta be somewhere. Sorry, Papa. I'm out of here. The Joe... Jake Marshall, Angel Starr, Damon Grant, Miles Edgeworth. Not to mention Lana and Emma. Wow. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't be just a coincidence. Knowing you just might be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck. I'd better take a good look at this file. Yes. Gonna read it front to back and trying to... because this is interesting. Yes, save the progress. February 24th, District Courtroom, number 9. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner, oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Oh, God. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know, you're a patrolman. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out. Yes, we know you played Red Dead Redemption 2, and you just can't get enough of it. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? I've never heard Edgewood described that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? A desperado soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Yes, maybe it's best. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime in plain old English. My job is to keep a wary eye on the bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room is protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Can't say I particularly care for your attitude. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Oh, ho, 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 ho. He's got some sass on him. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even Cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint activated locks and the evidence lockers? Fingerprint activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? He's not being very helpful. He's not that good with machines or with following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses now, don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. My job was to keep a wary eye on the bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room is protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street side saloon at the time it went down. Which is strange, because we got your prints there. If you were at a street side saloon, then what are these, Marshal? Officer Marshal, doesn't it strike you as odd that is you being called in to testify like this? After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime, and yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple, really. You left a very large trail behind at the scene, or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects, that is, make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints will be in there. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what is the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the crime scene? The blood was wiped away, however. A luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshal, it seems to me that it ain't the person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Mr. Officer Marshal? About the blood-stained fingerprints? Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints. Found at the scene of the crime. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the bloodstained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See, I had nothing to do with it. The witness's explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy is hiding something, I can feel it. Now is my chance to prove it. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in the evidence room. That's because you, how did you put it, pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What? What do you mean? I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective, the locker I still use. All that's in there now is a heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker. Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from that locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing it. Marshal's fingerprints are updated in the court record. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the bloodstained handprint. See. 2, 3. But how do you know that? I may be alone, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a bloodstain at the scene, thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. I was found in Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on the handprint. Yeah, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer wearing gloves happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? This seal of blood in the desert is just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. Security tape. So long as my trailer isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination. Too bad it wasn't me that veered right, partner. What do you mean by that? You want to tie me to this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have. But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape.
Objection!
We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. I don't have time for your face. Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now. Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake. Now then, let's have another look at the video. Show us this incriminating evidence of the witness, Officer Marshall, Jake Marshall. Bear, 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 bear. They also had a knife, and who do we know always has a knife on him? Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. Exactly 8 words, not bad, partner. The key lies in the certain locker shown in the video. That locker with the white cloth sticking out, that was the witnesses, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. It's not. Oh, it's that white cloth. It's gone. What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Order, order. Hold your horses, sorry, partner, but you got the wrong man. Or do I now? So what if my locker was opened? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. Well then, who did? Marshall? The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened the locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Well, you see, remember that lockers can only be opened with fingerprints. Meaning that locker that you have can only be opened by you. This guy just isn't playing dumb. He really doesn't know. Oh, I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah, I call your bluff. You say open that locker, now prove it. Fingerprint sensor? He's sweating. He talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this, and in any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people on the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? I only got 1 word for you, partner. No! Order, order, order. Witness, explain yourself. If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. Olay, please answer the question. What is he now, a bullfighter? That's right, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here. We can? Have a look at these floor plans. There is no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. That's so, then where was the witness? Seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right, the only possible conclusion. Well then, let's hear it. Let's see. There. After Marshall was standing right here. There, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Correct, unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you dressed up like Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd known for sure. May I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified by the man's reaction when confronted. When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show his card, sir. Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife on me. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If it was actually Detective Goodman, why would he need to pull out a knife? He could have just said, "Hey, it's me." The man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it because it wasn't Detective Goodman. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I get it. If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall? You've got quite an imagination, partner. Still in denial. We got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence, he's still denying it. You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beer, but you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? Well, whom I can, I don't have anything like that. I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat. This can't be happening. So obviously he's the one. What can I do? It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just staring out. When you have run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics? For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside of the box. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise, but rather I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was open in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later as it had been. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps the video is the key to all unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video is my only shot. Very well, let's take yet another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness. See. For some reason, you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know what end yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat. You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did, all of it. All right, it seems the time has come. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So the supposed victim was really you. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. I guess he's the donor. It was way too much blood for such a small donation. When you say it, you mean... Do you even have to ask, partner? Yes, I do. 2 years have passed since the case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transfer that day. Not if I had anything to do with it. That incident's not over. But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When the case is closed, only the case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time. No matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner, that case is mine. But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it? That day was my last chance, that's why I stole the detective ID card and planted. Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I did to make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transfer, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you dared to fool the security camera and the detective's ID card? I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why Goodman started filing out the lost item report. I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Mr. Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself. But you could because the rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly is a 1 in a million type of person. Mistaking a detective for intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Good question. In a way, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry I had to turn out this way, with me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. So you knocked off some Meekins out and... So you did your research beforehand. Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I don't think it would make a difference, though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours, and if all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is, on that day, there wasn't any murder at the evidence room. But the blood found at the scene certainly indicates a crime took place. What, are you blind? The victim shown on that tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker? Actually, no I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edward, where was that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing detective ID? Injuring a police officer? This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. Can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case, this one's mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I can't just forget the SL incident, you know why? Why? That case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dark was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved a sentence. I remember the Joe Dark case. Involved serial murders, didn't it? I don't intend to complain about how it turned out, but there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know, that's what I'm trying to find out. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is. I had a feeling it would wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here was related in some way to that case. I'd better take another look at the files. See. Check. That's it. Perpetrator, Joe Dark, crime, serial murder, sentence, death. Victims. Neil Marshall. So this is personal for him. Edward Jones, Edith Kirby, Jeb Bates, Jason Knight, Rachel Moss, Neil Marshall, Head Prosecutor Miles Edgeworth, witnesses Lana Sky, Emma Sky, okay. Yes, let's see. Let's try this. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. In a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall, are you related to this man? Neil Marshall? Yeah, I'm sure you've heard that name. 2 years ago, he received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. What? A prosecutor? You must be talking about the King of Prosecutors award. Now I remember Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right, he was killed, and the case fell into your hands. But what's his relation to you? He was my brother. He was investigating the murders with Damon Grant, the then Deputy Chief of Police. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Joe Derrick. My brother fought Derrick and was killed. That was the first time Derrick left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed, at least according to public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Derrick. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. That's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There was more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. I think it was the chief of police. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day this SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with this, with its resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he opened the evidence room. After Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. This mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The things that happened by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance, it's got to be more than just that. So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one. Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky. But wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. It seems to me these boys got the draw on you, partner. All of the mysteries at the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lon Sky. And the testimony of one Miss Angel Starr is completely incontestable. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. That was the case. It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department. Apparent murder on the security test really was fake. But I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty. Emma, welcome back. You're on it. Wait. Emma, the defense has an objection. Is that a scientific objection? Right? Yeah, what she said. Mr. Wright, are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor, in a sense, please, Your Honor, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings. Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky sisters were in that file. But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing, the other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found in Detective Gumshoe's locker? But no fingerprints were found on it, right? Nor I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again. So did you find something? No. That's not what I want to hear. Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad, I'm just a high school student. I'm just an attorney. Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If you can't find something wrong with them, please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. Anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me. Time's up now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears that the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, sir, Your Honor, if I ever need to concentrate now. What could be wrong with a handprint on Detective Gumshoe locker? Could there be something I'm missing? I object. This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Telling me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Yep. Something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use. Which item can prove something is missing? What about that piece of plywood? The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force, defender of truth and guardian of proof. Oh God. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The Blue Badger is not there. So it's in the video, but yet... So what happened when we put him in? This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? Gotcha, Edgeworth. So that's right, so as long as the Blue Badger's dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker. So that means, just exactly what does that mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found in our locker. Don't look at me, I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically. Emma, on that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in. Just one moment, I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. Not even a little malarkey or shenanigans. But it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. Problem is, the other time, someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim. The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found in the locker. So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand that you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being caught by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in the evidence room. That's right, the blood mark in the locker room proves this. Very well then, tell us, when did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edgeworth said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? What shows when the first crime took place? There's 420. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card? Oh, the ID card record. Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see, 4:50. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. Miles Edgeworth, just what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. The crime took place 4:20. That's the only one that's unaccounted for. That would mean who has ever... Yep, 420. But who has the ID number of nothing but 7? Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 777. Mr. Edward, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 777777. That's 17 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of the ID card. At least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number. Ah, yes, the chief of police. someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity. But that's ridiculous. Just how? I'm not finished talking, Mr. White. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge? You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries? That's how the prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work, Mr. Marshall. I would appreciate if you'd keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it okay? Let me ask a question. Yes? No, not to you, to her, the defendant's sinning over there. Your own little executive. Lana? Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course, we've looked up her ID number, and it's not 7777. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing about the incident. The SL9 incident. Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Do you need the witness to repeat the question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least I did. Lana. I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't. I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence. Well, crap. Emma's not gonna like hearing that. See, that's what I'm talking about. No, no. Honest remarks. Conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. Well, that got real interesting. Save progress. And for today, let's see who we can read out to. Let's see who's online. looking. Da. Let's see who we can read out to. Da, da, da. I know who we can read out to. And she's playing Phoenix Wright as well. First, we'll wait for ad break to finish. Da, da, da. Almost 1 minute left till the ad break's over with. Then we shall wait over to Super Geek Girl. She's almost finished with the ads, and then we'll switch over. 40 seconds. Tomorrow I'll be playing some Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and we'll do some more there, and hopefully I can get back into playing Assassin's Creed Syndicate. It's been kind of busy, but I hope to get back into it soon enough. So thank you for coming, and just almost done with ads. Okay, so let's go read out to Super Geek Girl. Till then, I shall see you next time. Da, da, da.